The sky above Earth turned dark as a giant object appeared in orbit. At first, people thought it was a meteor. Then it stopped moving. Cameras zoomed in and revealed a massive alien ship, covered in silver plates, glowing symbols, and strange towers. News spread quickly. Governments went into alert mode. Every radar and telescope pointed toward the sky. In space stations and control rooms across the world, officers watched the ship closely. No weapons were fired. No attack began. But tension filled the air. Inside Earth's main Space Command Center, Mira, a science officer, stood in front of a large screen. She had calm eyes and steady hands. Even when the rest of the crew whispered nervously, "They're sending a message." The tech assistant said, "Put it on." Mira replied. The screen flickered. A tall, blue-skinned alien appeared. He wore a silver robe and a crown with blinking gems. His voice was deep, slow, and proud. "I'm Lord Trevuk, voice of the Galvan Empire. We offer you the honor of surrender. The Empire has ruled over 1,000 worlds. You will now join as a lesser member. Send your leader for treaty signing." Silence filled the room after the message ended. No one spoke for a full minute. Then someone at the back chuckled. "Did he say surrender?" Mira pressed her earpiece. "Get Tom. We need a diplomat, and tell him to behave." Tom was Earth's best talker. He had been to space colonies, alien markets, and even once stopped a space pirate war using only questions and tea. But he also had a habit of laughing at things others feared. Soon, Tom arrived in a gray jacket, chewing gum. "So the Empire is here," he said casually. "Do they want our gold or our jokes?" Mira gave him a strict look. "Just don't say anything stupid." The Earth Council decided to send a peaceful reply. They didn't want war. So they arranged a meeting on a neutral space station near Earth's orbit. Mira and Tom were chosen to represent humanity. A few hours later, a shuttle flew them to the station. As they entered the hall, they saw the Galvan waiting. The hall was grand, but the Galvan made it look small. Their armor was shiny and heavy. Their boots made loud thumps with every step. Flags of the Empire hung behind them. Lord Trevuk stood in the center, holding a glowing scroll. Tom whispered to Mira, "Why does it feel like a theater play?" "Be serious," she replied under her breath. Trevuk began to speak. His voice echoed through the hall. "Humans of Earth, you stand before greatness. The Galvan Empire offers you a chance to join our rule. Your lands will be protected. Your leaders will answer to the throne. You will kneel and be part of something larger." He unrolled the glowing scroll. The letters floated in the air. It looked impressive, but the words were old-fashioned and full of titles and praise. Tom read it quietly and tried not to laugh. "This says we'll be called soil-bound beings of minor light." He whispered to Mira. "Don't laugh," she replied. But Tom's smile grew wider. Trevuk stepped forward. "Will you accept this honor?" Mira stayed silent. She looked at Tom. Tom looked at Trevuk and said, "Can we invite you to see something before we decide?" Trevuk raised a brow. "What do you mean?" "Our moon base. It's small, but it might help you understand Earth better." Trevuk agreed, thinking it would be a good chance to impress humans with his own greatness. His guards followed as they entered the human shuttle. When they arrived at the moon base, Trevuk looked around with surprise. The base was clean, bright, and filled with machines working without any human touch. Small robots floated through the halls, fixing wires and scanning panels. AI systems responded instantly to every question. Humans inside were calm and busy, not panicking. Then something strange happened. A nearby machine made a loud beep. A tray popped out with a fresh slice of pizza. Trevuk stepped back. "What is this?" he asked. "Lunch," Tom said. "Machine made." Trevuk looked confused. "Where are your servants?" Mira answered. "We don't use servants. We design machines. They help us." Trevuk nodded slowly, but he seemed lost. He looked at a young engineer who was talking to a computer screen. The screen showed a map of energy flows. The engineer made changes with a finger wave. Trevuk asked, "Is that your commander?" Tom chuckled. "No, he's just a technician. Probably listens to music while working." Trevik was quiet for a while. Then he said, "You build, you create, but you do not kneel. Why?" Mira replied calmly, "Because we believe knowledge is power, not fear." Tom added, "Your empire wants control. We prefer understanding." Trevik stood still, thinking. He looked around once more. The machines, the people, the silence, the speed. Nothing here was loud or forced. It was quiet strength. As they walked back to the shuttle, Tom whispered to Mira, "I think we broke his pride." "He's not ready for us," she replied. Tom smiled. "This is going to be fun." After returning from the moon base, Lord Trevik sat alone inside his grand chamber aboard the Empire ship. The walls were made of dark stone and metal, carved with symbols of old battles and victories. It was meant to show power. But right now, Trevik felt uncertain. The humans were not what he expected. They had no kings, no robes, no Boeing. Their machines worked faster than his own empires. Their people were calm, not afraid. Trevik stared at the glowing treaty scroll on his table. For the first time in many years, he wondered if his words still held weight. In Earth's main command center, Mira and Tom sat at a round table with high-ranking officials. A large screen showed images of the Empire's ship still floating above the planet. One general said, "Should we prepare weapons?" Another replied, "We need more time. Let's not start a war." Mira looked at Tom. "They still want us to sign the treaty." Tom leaned back in his chair. "Then let's answer with something they don't expect." Later that day, a message was sent from Earth to the Galvan ship. It was polite but firm. The humans were thankful for the offer, but needed more time to understand the Galvan's purpose. To help with that, they invited Lord Trevik to visit Earth's moon base again, this time for a full tour. And meeting with scientists, Trevik agreed. He believed it would give him another chance to prove the Empire's greatness. He brought a group of 10 guards, all dressed in heavy armor with red capes. They marched in lines, heads high. But when they arrived, the humans greeted them in a way they had never seen. A group of children stood at the entrance, holding welcome signs. Robots handed out drinks. A small band played music that made some of the guards blink in confusion. One child said, "Welcome to the moon. Do you want ice cream?" Trevik raised a hand. "Is this part of your strategy?" Tom smiled. "No strategy, just kindness." As they walked through the base, Mira explained each part. There were labs where plants grew in glass tubes, energy systems that collected sunlight and turned it into power, a control center run mostly by computers. Trevik watched a small drone fix a broken pipe without anyone touching it. He said, "Your machines are fast." Mira nodded. "We made them to work with us, not under us." Tom added, "We don't see the galaxy as something to rule. We see it as something to explore." The tour continued. In the science lab, Trevik saw a human working with an alien species. The creature had green skin and for arms. It was speaking in perfect English. Trevik asked, "Who is this?" The creature replied, "My name is Kel. I'm from Tora. Earth helped free my world from pirates. Now I study energy here." Trevik was surprised. "You were not forced to serve them?" Kel smiled. "No. They gave me books and tools, not chains." That night, the humans invited Trevik to a dinner. It was simple. No gold plates or long speeches. People sat and ate together, laughing and sharing stories. Trevik looked around. "This is your leader's court." Tom grinned. "No court, just dinner." At the end of the meal, Mira gave Trevik a tablet. It showed a map of Earth's progress. In space, colonies, science stations, trade routes, all built without conquest. Trevik asked, "But how do you keep order without an emperor?" Mira replied, "We use laws, teams, and trust. We solve problems together." Trevik looked down at the glowing treaty scroll he had brought once again. It now felt heavy and useless. He asked quietly, "Do you think the galaxy would laugh at us?" Tom answered, "Maybe not laugh, but they might ask questions." The next day, Trevik returned to his ship. His guards noticed he was quieter than before. He did not give any orders. Instead, he walked into his private room and turned off the lights. He thought about the humans, their calm voices, their clever tools, their free people, He had seen empires rise and fall in history books, but he never thought his own might look like the past now. Back on Earth, Tom and Mira met once again with the council. Tom said, "He's not angry. He's confused. That's a good sign." Mira nodded. "He expected fear. We gave him facts. He came to rule. We showed him reason." One council member asked, "What should we do now?" Tom smiled. "Let's keep showing them what humans really are. Builders, thinkers, friends, not subjects, soon." Another message was sent from Trevik's ship. It was shorter this time. "The Galvan Empire will consider a longer observation of Earth before taking the next step. We request more meetings with your scientists." The humans understood what that meant. The Empire was unsure, and that was the first crack in its walls. As the stars above continued to shine, Earth didn't just wait. They prepared something new. They would show the galaxy that humans were not just another planet to rule. They were something different, something that even an empire would struggle to understand. Word count, approximately 1,000. The Galvan ship remained in Earth's orbit. From the outside, it looked powerful. Its surface was covered with weapons and towers. But inside, something had changed. Lord Trevik was no longer proud and loud. He walked slower. He spoke less. His eyes often stared into nothing as if his mind was far away. His second in command, Commander Drav, noticed this change. "Is something wrong, my lord?" he asked. Trevik replied, "The humans are strange. They smile too much. They have no fear. But they also have no throne, no emperor, no armies on the streets. And yet, their world works." Drav said, "Then we must remind them of our strength." Trevik stayed silent, deep down. He was unsure if strength meant the same thing anymore. On Earth, a new plan was made. The humans wanted to show more of themselves to the Galvan. Not just machines and science, but people, culture, and spirit. So they invited Lord Trevik and his guards to a martial arts event on the moon base. Trevik accepted the invitation, expecting a display of slow training or simple movements. In the Empire, martial arts were for ceremonies, not real battles. He believed the show would be boring. But when he and his guards entered the training hall, they saw something very different. The hall was filled with lights. A crowd of humans, engineers, and station workers had gathered. A group of fighters stood in the center wearing simple uniforms. They were calm and focused. Then the music began. The fighters moved fast, jumping, spinning, and striking wooden boards in the air. They flipped over each other, kicked with perfect timing, and used sticks, swords, and open hands. The Galvan guard stood stiff. Trevik raised his brow. The moves were sharp, beautiful, and dangerous. One human fighter broke 3 bricks with his hand. Another did a roll and flipped over a robot. The crowd cheered. Then something funny happened. A Galvan guard named Vorlik stepped forward and said, "This is simple. I can do that." He tried to copy one of the moves. He jumped, spun and fell flat on his back with a loud thud. His helmet rolled away. There was a pause. Then someone laughed. It was Tom. Then Mira laughed too. Others followed. The crowd couldn't help it. Even the fighters chuckled while helping Vorlik up. Trevik stood frozen. "You laugh at us?" he asked. Tom raised his hands. "Not at you. Just at the moment. That was funny." Vorlik brushed dust off his armor. He looked confused, not angry. Even he gave a small smile. Trevik looked around. No one was mocking. No one was cruel. They were just human. He said, "In the Empire, laughter during training is not allowed." Mira replied, "But laughter is part of learning. We laugh when we fall. Then we rise again." Tom added, "You rule with titles. We grow with questions." Trevik didn't respond, but he kept watching. After the show, everyone was invited to a lounge for tea and snacks. Robots served drinks. Children from the station played music. The Galvan guards sat on soft chairs for the first time in their lives. Trevik sipped tea and said, "This is calm. I do not feel weak, yet there is no force here." Tom smiled. "You're seeing the real strength." Trevik turned to Mira. "I was raised to believe power comes from fear. But your people smile and work together. and things still move forward. Mira nodded. Power from fear is short. Power from respect lasts longer. That night, videos of the martial arts event spread across Earth's networks. One clip showed Vorlik falling with a sound effect added. Another had funny music behind Trevuk's confused face. The internet was full of jokes, memes, and dances. At first, some council members feared the Galvan might take offense, but something unexpected happened. A message came from a Galvan ship. It was from one of the younger officers. I have never seen people laugh so freely. Your ways are strange, but I want to learn. More messages followed, from workers, students, and even some minor leaders inside the Galvan Empire. They asked questions. They watched human videos. Some even tried martial arts at home. Trevik read all these reports. He sat alone in his room and watched a video. It showed him standing still while Tom smiled and joked beside him. The title of the video was When a Space Emperor Meets a Space Comedian. He didn't understand the joke, but something inside him felt lighter. The next day, Trevik sent a short message to Tom. Why do your people laugh even in serious times? Tom replied. Because laughter breaks fear, and fear breaks progress. On the Galvan ship, Commander Drav grew angry. My lord, this is madness. They are making fun of us. Trevik replied, no, they are inviting us, but we don't know how to walk with them yet. Drav didn't agree, but Trevik no longer shouted orders. He just spoke quietly and looked toward Earth. Back on Earth, Mira and Tom watched the data. More Galvan citizens were tuning into human networks. Some joined learning programs. Some copied Earth styles and designs. Tom said, we didn't need to fire a shot. We just needed to be ourselves. Mira added, this is how change begins. Not with fire, but with understanding. They both knew this was just the beginning. The Empire wasn't falling yet, but it was shaking, and all it took was a laugh, a fall, and a quiet truth. Word count, approximately 1,000 inside the Galvan ship. Things were no longer the same. The hallways were still clean, the guards still marched, and the lights still glowed with power, but the silence was different. It was not the silence of control. It was the silence of questions. Lord Trevik stood before a large screen in the command room. Images flashed across the Earth's moon base, human scientists, and videos from the martial arts show. One clip showed Tom laughing. Another showed Galvan citizens watching human programs. Viewership has increased, the report said. Over 5,000 Galvan citizens are tuning into human channels every day. Some have created accounts to comment and learn. Commander Drav stood beside him, arms crossed. This is dangerous, Drav said. They are being pulled by Earth Strix. Trevik didn't reply. His eyes were on a small message from a young Galvan officer. Sir, why did they not kneel? Yet they moved faster than us? Drav continued. We must remind them who we are. We are not entertainers. We are rulers. Trevik said calmly, perhaps they are not pulling us. Perhaps we are simply drifting. Meanwhile, on Earth, Mira was reviewing secret files with Tom. In a private room. These came from the edge of the Empire, she said, sliding a tablet across the table. Tom read the messages. They were short, sent from rebel groups, small colonies, and silenced voices. Most of them said the same thing. We are watching. Earth gives us hope. One message stood out. The Galvan took our sky. Will you help us fly again? Tom looked up. They think we're heroes? Mira shook her head. We're just different. But that difference is enough. More reports followed. A planet called Roland had begun peaceful protests. A school on another world added human books to their library. Even a group of Galvan engineers secretly asked Earth for help fixing broken systems. Tom smiled. The Empire is heavy, but it's full of cracks. Mira nodded, and light is slipping in. Back on the Galvan ship, Trevik met with the inner circle of Empire leaders through a secure channel. Holograms of proud faces filled the room. They wore golden symbols and long titles. One leader shouted, "You went to Earth, and now your people laugh at soldiers." Another said, "You allowed humans to influence our cities. That is betrayal." Trevik stood tall. "I went to Earth. I saw their world, and I saw something we have lost. The Emperor's voice boomed from the center hologram. Do not forget who we are. You will prepare the fleet. If Earth does not accept our rule, we will take it. Trevik bowed his head. As you command. After the meeting, Trevik sat in silence. He felt tired, not from war, but from pretending. He opened a hidden drawer and pulled out the human tablet given to him by Mira. It was still working. He tapped the screen and watched a video of a child laughing as a robot painted silly faces on a wall. He smiled. That same night, a private message came from one of the Outer Empire planets. They are moving soldiers. Weapons are being loaded. Ships are being cleaned. The Empire is preparing for something big. Trevik knew what it meant. The Emperor wanted war, a show of power, a reminder that the Galvan were rulers of the stars. But Trevik also knew the truth. The Empire was not as strong as it once claimed. The next day, he met Mira and Tom in secret inside a quiet moon-based chamber. I don't have much time, Trevik said, but I have something to share. He handed Mira a data chip. It holds records of every Galvan ship, their condition, and their weakness. Tom raised his eyebrows. Why are you giving us this? Trevik replied, because I no longer believe in fear, and I no longer want to protect lies. Mira asked, what do you want instead? Trevik looked out the window at Earth glowing far away. I want my people to keep their honor, but I also want them to live free. Tom asked carefully, are you saying the Empire is falling? Trevik answered, no, but it is shaking, and when it finally leans, I want to make sure it doesn't crush the people below. Mira nodded. We can help, but not with war. With knowledge, training, and truth, Trevik agreed. The only way to change the Empire is from inside. He turned to leave, but stopped at the door. I will buy you time. Keep showing the galaxy who you are. After Trevik left, Tom turned to Mira. He's different now, Mira replied. He saw the truth, and now he carries it. Back on the Galvan ship, the fleet prepared for movement. The Emperor had ordered a display, warships lined up, soldiers trained. Old systems were turned on. Some of them sparked. Some didn't work at all. Drive-Off gave a speech to the troops. We are the Galvan. We have ruled for generations. Nothing can stop us. But behind closed doors, many soldiers whispered, Earth is better food. Did you see their tech? I watched a human story last night. It made me cry. The cracks were not just outside. They were deep inside the Empire. And Earth was ready to let the light in. The Galvan fleet was now moving through space. Dozens of ships, old but large, headed toward a nearby neutral zone. The Empire wanted to show its strength without starting a war. Ships lined up in perfect rows. Weapons were charged. Soldiers stood ready in armor. But not everyone inside the ships felt proud. Some whispered in the halls. Some watched Earth's networks in secret. Some even laughed when no one was looking. On Earth, Tom stood inside a small studio. Cameras were placed all around. Lights were on. A few human actors wore funny alien costumes. Tom held a tablet and smiled. Are we ready? He asked. Mira stood in the back of the room with her arms crossed. Are you sure this is the right idea? She asked. Tom nodded. The Empire wants to show its power. We'll show them something stronger. What's that? She asked. Tom looked into the camera and said, laughter. The broadcast began. Across Earth and beyond, screens lit up with the new human show. It was called Galvan Galaxy Show. The first scene showed a fake emperor sitting on a golden toilet chair, shouting orders to robots that didn't listen. One robot danced, one threw bread. The audience laughed. The next scene showed a Galvan officer asking a human how Earth powers its cities. The human replied, sunlight and snacks. The Galvan looked shocked and said, we use sweat and shouting. There were jokes, dance numbers, and silly interviews. Every scene was fast and funny. The show was smart but simple. It showed the difference between rule by fear and rule by fun. It didn't attack the Galvan people. It made fun of their outdated system, and people loved it. On the Galvan ship Stormcrier, the show appeared on an officer's screen. He didn't report it. Instead, he watched, then he laughed. Soon the show reached deeper inside the Empire. In the city of Varn, a group of students watched together. In the mines of Cavafor, tired workers played it during breaks. Even inside the palace halls, some guards shared short clips with each other. Commander Drav was furious. He stormed into Trevik's office. They are mocking us, and our people are laughing with them. This is not war, it's poison. Trevik stood calmly. It's not poison. It's a mirror. And now our people see their own face. Drav shouted. We should strike Earth. Now, fire a warning shot. Trevik replied, and proved to the galaxy that we fear a joke. Drav left the room without answering. Back on Earth, the show team released a second episode. This one showed a Galvan emperor trying to stop a group of human schoolkids from building a robot. But the kids were too fast. Every time he shouted, they built something new. The emperor finally gave up and joined them. The end message said, if you can't stop the future, help build it. It went viral across the stars. Many alien species had lived under Galvan rule for years. Now they were laughing too. A message came from a rebel leader on a far moon. Your jokes are stronger than our weapons. Keep sending them. Another message came from a Galvan teacher. I used to teach that humans were weak. Today, I watched your show with my students. We laughed. Then we talked. Thank you. Trevik saw these messages and smiled. Tom and Mira met again with the Earth's Council. One member asked, what is the purpose of this show? What if they attack? Tom replied, we are not breaking their walls with fire. We are melting them with truth. Mira added, the Empire is heavy, but humor makes things light. That's why they fear it. On the Galvan ship, more changes were happening. Some soldiers stopped wearing their helmets. Some removed old medals. One even painted a small human cartoon on his locker. Drav gave a speech to his top officers. They are turning you into fools. We are the Galvan. We command. We conquer. But the room was quiet. No cheers. Only still faces. One young officer stood up. Commander, when was the last time you smiled without fear? Drav's face turned red. Silence, he shouted. But the officer replied, we're already silent. That's the problem. In private, Trevik received a message from Mira. It was short. We don't want your empire to fall. We want your people to stand. He read it twice. Then he sent one back. Then let's stand together. He called for a secret meeting with Tom and Mira. They met inside a dark shuttle near the moon. Trevik said, the Emperor will not listen, but I can still move pieces. Tom asked, what do you want us to do? Trevik replied, keep sending your shows. Keep making people laugh. While you do that, I'll prepare something inside. Mira asked, like what? Trevik looked serious. Something big, something the Emperor will not expect. The shuttle returned to base, and the stars above watched as the strongest empire in the galaxy was shaken by something no one had planned for. Not a fleet, not a battle, but a joke. And that joke had opened more minds than any weapon ever could. The Galvan Empire was at a crossroads inside the great silver ships. Soldiers whispered in the shadows. Many no longer believed in the Emperor's words. They looked at the humans with new eyes, not as enemies, but as something they did not understand yet. Lord Trevik sat quietly in his private chamber. The glow from the control panels lit his thoughtful face. His mind was heavy with choices. Should he obey the Emperor and lead his people into war? Or should he listen to the humans and find a new path? His second in command, Commander Drav, stormed in. You are weak, Drav said, voice low but harsh. The Emperor will punish us if we fail. Trevik stood and looked out the window at Earth, shining softly in the distance. Strength is not only in weapons, Drav. It is in knowing when to fight and when to change. Drav shook his head. Change means defeat. Trevik smiled sadly. Change means survival. Meanwhile, on Earth, Tom and Mira prepared for the next phase. The comedy show had reached millions across the galaxy. But now, they planned something bigger, lessons. Not just jokes, but knowledge shared with those who wanted it. Mira said, we can teach their people how to fix machines, grow food, and build peace. Tom nodded. It's not a fight, it's a friendship. Back on the Galvan ships, Secret meetings took place. A group of younger officers met in a hidden room. They talked quietly about the future. One officer, Laura, said, "We cannot continue like this. The empire is broken. The people want change." Another officer agreed. "We must find leaders who will listen." Trevik knew the risk. The emperor had spies everywhere. But he also saw hope. He sent a message to Tom and Mira. "Meet me on the moon. I have a plan." At the meeting, Trevik explained, "The emperor will order the fleet to attack Earth soon. But I want to stop it. I want to change the empire from inside." Tom asked, "How?" Trevik smiled. "By showing our people there's more than power. There's respect, friendship, and laughter." Mira said, "We will help, but this must be secret." The three began to work together. They shared information, helped engineers on Galvan ships fix broken systems, and sent teachers to rebel planets. Slowly, the Empire's old rules weakened. Some soldiers refused orders. Some leaders joined the secret group. The Emperor grew angry. His messages became sharper. He demanded loyalty. He threatened rebellion. But the Empire was no longer united. One day, as the fleet prepared for battle, a message went out from Trevik. "Galvan people," he said over the network, "it is time for a new era, an era of peace and respect." The message surprised many. Some cheered. Others stayed silent. Commander Drav was furious. "You betray us all," he shouted. But Trevik stood firm. "I betray only the old ways that hurt us." Trevik then invited Tom and Mira to speak with the soldiers. Together, they told stories of Earth, of humans who faced dangers but chose to laugh and build instead of destroy. Many soldiers listened. Some cried. The Empire was changing. In the following weeks, peace talks began. The Emperor finally agreed to a council with Earth and rebel leaders. The galaxy watched as enemies became partners. Trevik looked at Earth from his ship and smiled. He whispered, "We didn't lose, we grew." Tom laughed softly. "Sometimes, all it takes is a laugh to change the world," Mira added, "and a friend to show the way." Word count, approximately 1,000. The great halls of the Galactic Assembly buzzed with energy. For the first time in history, the Galvan Empire sat beside humans and other free worlds as equals. The old banners of conquest were replaced with new flags of friendship. Lord Trevik stood tall, no longer just a servant of the Emperor, but a leader of change. Beside him were Tom and Mira, representing Earth's hope and strength. The assembly was crowded with beings of all shapes and colors. Some once feared the Galvan as ruthless rulers. Now, they listened as Trevik spoke of peace. "We have learned," he said, "that strength is not in ruling with fear, but in standing together with respect. The empire of the past was proud but broken. The empire of the future is united and free." The crowd applauded. Tom smiled and whispered to Mira, "We didn't destroy the empire. We upgraded it." After the assembly, the old empire ships were no longer weapons of war. They were transformed into carriers of knowledge and trade. Soldiers became builders, teachers, and explorers on the planet Varn. Schools taught both Galvan history and human stories. Children laughed together, playing games that mixed their cultures. Music filled the streets, mixing strange sounds from both worlds. A young Galvan child showed a human friend how to draw symbols from their language. The human smiled and taught the Galvan to write his name in simple letters. At the moon base, new technology was shared openly. Humans and Galvan worked side by side, creating energy farms that powered colonies and cities. Even former rebels found new places in this changing galaxy. They helped rebuild planets once torn by war. One evening, Trevik sat with Tom and Mira, watching a small child laugh as a robot told a silly story. Trevik said, "I once thought power was only in control. Now I know it is in trust." Tom nodded. "Humans have always known that." Mira smiled. "And now the galaxy knows it too." The galaxy had changed, not through weapons or fear, but through laughter, friendship, and hope. The Empire was no longer a distant threat, but a partner for peace. And it all began with a single meeting, a few jokes, and the courage to be different.